This is a video I did of my trip out to Breaksea Island from Emu Point near Albany. There was a break in the wind and I decided to go out and take advantage of it for a day. Hope you enjoy.
This summer I went swimming, this summer I might have drowned, but I held my breath and I kicked my feet and I moved my arms around, moved my arms around. This summer I swam in the ocean and swam in a swimming pool. Salt my wounds, clean my eyes, I'm a self-destructive fool, self-destructive fool. This summer I did the backstroke, and you know that that's not all. I did the breaststroke and the butterfly and the old Australian crawl, the old Australian crawl. This summer I swam in a public place and a reservoir to boot. At the latter I was informal, at the former I wore my suit, I wore my swimming suit, yeah. This summer I did swan dives and jackknives for you all. And once when you were looking, I did a cannonball, did a cannonball. This summer I went swimming.
I'm sure if you can see it, but there's a half floating bit of driftwood sort of popping its head up, quite decent size. So I'm just gonna pull it out of the water because it's a bit dangerous actually. So the go is to go and have a look at the lighthouse on Breaksea Island. However, trying to find a way up there, I'm going to have to anchor the boat out securely, dive down, lock it off, make sure it's safe, and then swim to shore. It's the only way to do it, I think. So I've just swam ashore. The dinghy's got two anchors down and a line tied to the jetty. So I've tripled up because it's not my dinghy, so I'll take this precaution. Just going to dry off, get all my gear out of the barrel and go and have a look at the lighthouse.
So the first lighthouse was actually built in 1858 by English convicts, which is there's only two known lighthouses that were built by convicts. It was cast iron sheeting and raised at the centre of the cottage. Then in 1889 the two keepers' cottages were built, which are currently being restored for accommodation. And the original lighthouse was then replaced in 1901 by the current lighthouse, which has just been restored. Quite a bit of work on it, and it's looking absolutely quite incredible. Restoration of the lighthouse and cottage has been through a $1.3 million grant in restoring the cottages and lighthouse. They've actually been using traditional techniques to do this, including like limestone rendering for the walls and original fittings, and to the original specifications of the design. An interesting story of one of the residents of the island was 15-year-old Fay Christine. She was versed in Morse code and flag communications, and the island had a phone line put in 1885, or Morse code line, and she used this to communicate when all the ships for World War I were leaving with all the troops from Australia and New Zealand. She was their sort of last call, and she communicated from the men on the ships to send telegrams back home. It was really their last call for many of them. And later on she received a lot of letters and postcards from the troops thanking her. There's a book about it called The Lighthouse Girl, which would be an interesting read. She ended up actually getting pregnant to a lighthouse keeper, 19 years a senior, and moving to Perth. But her sort of legacy lived on. An interesting coincidence of that story is that Fay's birthday fell on the day that World War I was declared. George Vancouver named Breaksea Island in 1791 after its beaten appearance and the protection it offered from the southwest winds and seas. The island is 3 kilometres long and 600 metres wide at its widest part, and the closest island you can see in the distance there is Middleton Island. The men's shed of Albany had built a whole heap of nesting boxes for the little penguins to try and assist with them tagging them for the tracking to try and see why their numbers have been decreasing in recent years. However, they didn't seem to like the nesting boxes and they've chosen to use their existing burrows, so they've been hampered there. Well, I've made it back to the boat. It's still there, thank goodness. The only bad side now is swimming over to it.
If only had a road to get around. All the places, all the places, all the places we'd go. In my road. There'll be things to eat, there'll be things to read, there'll be songs to sing.
There's the Dinghy,
In my road.
there's the lighthouse, these are the seals over there in the distance, hanging out doing a bit of sunbreaking.
If only had a tower, a tower in my pocket. All the things, all the things, all the things we'd see from the tower. Hurry, 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 hurry. It's lovely up here. If only had a window to the 60s. All the people, all the people, all the people we meet through the window. And all the acid, all the acid, all the acid we
To be recycled.
through the window.
I was sitting randomly right at the top of these rocks. Big boy. Perfect.